Dr. Sri Satyanarayan Gangadhar Pitroda, son of the soil, the man who revolutionized India's telecom sector, the father of India's telecom industry. I mean, there are no two opinions in this age wherein we find people donning the father colors for sectors, kind of agnostic. Mr. Sam Pitroda has no rivals in the space. He's somebody who, right for the last 40-45 years, has worked relentlessly to this date, wherein he agreed upon sharing with us his journey and the future of India's telecom sector. Because that is what the topic of the Amrit Kal series is today, the future of India's telecom sector. Who better to speak about the future, linking it with the past and the current scenario, with the kinds of ups and downs that we've had over the last 40 years in the telecom sector space, right from 1948, when the first public sector company, ITI, was started under the visionary leadership of the first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji, ITI. We've had many beautiful stories. We'll hear it out from the man behind the entire revolution. He was covered and was on the cover pages of, name it, the magazine, be it Illustrated Weekly, be it the Times, be it the Business World magazines, everywhere. This man was there on the cover page because he was driving India's vision. He had his political disagreements, which obviously are a part and parcel of the job. But finally today, wherever we are, we should be thankful to a man like Mr. Pitroda. And we should always look at the kind of positive contributions, right from C-Dot, to the telecom exchanges. And then he has many other revolutions that he is responsible for. Many revolutions are attributed to his vision. I'll not delve into all those things, neither politically, and I will not digress from the main topic today, especially when we live in the times when after 20 years, BSNL, India's own telecom provider, has again resurfaced like a phoenix. And they say that it's into the blue, it's making profits. Huge amount of budget has been allocated, almost 30,000 crores by the current budget in the by the Prime Minister, by the Finance Minister in the current budget. So taking all these things into mind, and then we have AI, we have the US issues, we have the new gen, the Gen Z and the Alpha Beta generation driving the telecom growth story. We have the GCCs. There are so many things happening around, the 21st century developments and India's march towards a 5 trillion economy, third largest economy in the world. By 2047, probably we have a better future as long as we can ensure that the journey that was set in motion by people like Mr. Pitroda is something which we can carry forward in its true spirit. Over to you, Mr. Sam Pitroda. What are the major points of inflection in the last 40 years of your journey? And you could take us through them in the telecom space, decade-wise, the points of inflection in the telecom sector journey from the eyes and lens of Sri Satyanarayan Gangadhar Pitroda. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Greetings from Chicago. It is about midnight, 11 o'clock. Very cold outside. It's freezing, lots of snow. But thank you for the opportunity. I sincerely appreciate the love and affection I have received from people of India throughout my journey in India on telecom. People have been very generous, very supportive, appreciative of what we have been able to do, and the journey continues. I really got involved in telecom in India in just about 1980. I'd come to Delhi. I wanted to take my parents to see Taj Mahal, and I decided to call my wife and couldn't make a phone call. In 1980s, India had 2 million telephones for about 700 million people. It used to take 10 years to get a telephone connection. Telephones hardly worked. The joke was that half of the country is waiting for telephone, and the other half, or the remaining people who have telephones, are waiting for dial tone. Then we had electromechanical hardware. We used to make crossbar switching systems with technology from Belgium. At that point in time, Mrs. Indira Gandhi had set up a committee headed by Mr. Sareen. And I intervened and proposed that we should really jump start and go to digital switching systems and not get another license for crossbar or electronic switching. Mr. Sareen was very progressive. He gave me an opportunity to meet with the committee. Then I got a chance to give a presentation to Mrs. Indira Gandhi, and she was quite forward looking, and she basically agreed to support the idea of digital switching and digital communication. Thereafter, we took about 2.5 to 3 years to set up a working group, put together a cabinet note, and got approval to set up Center for Development of Telematics, CDOT. The idea was to create a group of 400 to 500 young talented people to develop hardware and software on our own. It was a project in indigenous development, Indian model of development, which focused on rural exchange, smaller systems. Also, the idea was to develop our own software from scratch. In those days, we used Unix, C language, which was pretty early days. But our bright, young, talented people coming out of IITs and other good universities really worked very hard and delivered a small exchange in the beginning to be manufactured in India. And that was the beginning of a digital revolution in India. The idea then was to focus on human capacity, local production, ancillary industries, our own software, and systems designed to work in Indian environment. High temperature, high humidity, salty environment, rural conditions. Systems were first installed in 87. At that point in time, we decided to privatize telecom manufacturing, which was never done before. We gave licenses to anybody who was willing to pay. In those days, 4 lakh rupees to produce small exchanges. Then came big exchange, and we ultimately installed 21 million lines of our own designed telephone exchanges. In the process, we built huge capacity for software export, export of telecom equipment. As I said earlier, then we had 2 million telephones. Today we have over 1.5 billion phones. We are a nation of connected 1.5 billion. Then we did not produce any software for export. Today we do almost $200 billion worth of software services and export. So India has come a long way in telecom. Credit goes first to Rajiv Gandhi's political will and support, young talent, lots of entrepreneurs in India, small, medium, large, and together we have been able to transform and connect India in a very special way. But we have a long way to go because things keep changing so fast. In the process, we lost our manufacturing base. Huawei, which is one of the largest telecom companies out of China, did not even exist when C. was set up and we had our own manufacturing. But we lost the emphasis on local manufacturing. And we started importing mobile telephone exchanges, base stations, and all of that from abroad and lost our base and opportunity to manufacture. Today, we are into 5G, 4G, pretty soon we'll be into 6G, and we have a very robust industry with very low telephone tariff and large user base. Some of our companies are leading companies in the world. Our companies have 500 million customers, 600 million customers. There are no companies like that in the world, except one or two in China. Our companies have also gone abroad and made a dent. So I am very proud of our telecom success story. But at the same time, I'm concerned. I'm concerned because I firmly believe that telecom is designed to empower every human being. Telecom, to me, is all about networking. Telecom is all about collaboration, cooperation, co-creation, communication. Unfortunately, it is used for command and control. Unfortunately, it is used mainly for power and profit and not for people. So large number of people at the bottom of the economic pyramid have benefited only in terms of having a cell phone, but it hasn't made dent in their employment, in their economy, in their education, in their health. These are the real issues to me. It is one thing to have huge export in software, big telecom companies with huge market cap, and it's another thing to have telecom to educate our masses, telecom to provide more employment to our rural, telecom to improve our agriculture, telecom to improve our health services. For this, we need an Indian model of development. Unfortunately, we are using Western model of development, which begins at the top. and not at the bottom. So I don't want top-down approach. I would rather focus on bottom-up approach, which imply decentralization. I would like district level development as opposed to national development using telecom and IT. What it means is we got to produce our own products, services. We got to create new processes. All our processes in the government were designed 70, 80 years ago. In e-governance, we are computerizing those age-old processes. Today is the time to redesign those processes. How do you get admission in school? It's not enough to digitize the old process. It is time to scrap old processes and design new processes to really respond to the new reality. So to me, decentralization to empower people for economic development, focus on small and medium-scale industries, create more jobs, and really develop different models for education and health. And this is where AI comes in. Now, for the first time, we have ability to derive knowledge out of information. Telecom was to network people so they could talk. Then came data, so we could get information. Then came search engines, so we could get selected information. But that was still information. We had to read that information and derive knowledge. AI has the ability to read this for us. AI can read 5,000 books at the same time that we can't do. I was just looking at the Epstein papers, 3 million documents. With AI, I can zero in and ask the question and get the answer. I don't need to read all 3 million. Somebody else can read all 3 million. That power of AI is the future of telecom in India. Future of telecom in India is not about just infrastructure and fiber optics and satellites, hardware and software and 5G, but it is about application to take humanity to the next level. We are fortunate because we have young talent. This is our biggest asset. How are we using this young talent to take humanity to the next level? Are we just watching Bollywood songs and using telecom for entertainment only? Or we are going to be using telecom and IT and AI to solve the real big problems we have, whether it's on water, sanitation, environment, global warming, housing, emergency management. All of these issues require new architecture for telecom, IT, and AI. So to me, the future of India now lies on our ability to use AI using Indian model of development and not Western model. I remain worried at times because we quickly move to Western ways of doing things. Our needs are very different. Our problems of mobility, our problems and challenges of energy, housing, governance require that we focus on democracy, we focus on independent institutions, we focus on civil society, NGOs, free and fair media, independent universities, autonomous universities, lot many more research institutions, improved health services. Everything I look around, I think needs to be redone. It is time to redesign India. And that's the challenge we all have when it comes to telecom's future in India. I hope this gives you sort of an overview.
Yeah. The prologue has been well said because we have quite a few other aspects we'll touch upon. See, before I move on, and I request you to move further with the future because you've said the prologue, we've reached the current stage, and now we're going to be talking about the future. But before that, you've seen the global economies, centered around their development with respect to telecom sector. Vis-a-vis India, what were the differences? Where are they today compared to probably US and China markets? As you pointed out, Huawei was much later compared to CDOT. I don't exactly know the years when they were respectively start commenced, but yes, it has galloped like no other such manufacturing organization. And so, from the global perspective, what were the differences in political vision, in the corporate visions, vis-a-vis the developed economies with respect to India that you've seen over the last 30, 40 years that we can learn from?
See, first of all telecom talent in India came out of government and public sector, owned by the government. There was no talent in private sector. None whatsoever. They all hired people from government and built their companies. Whether it is Airtel, Jio, Vodafone, you can go on and on and on. Not a single company was built without IT telecom talent from the government. Nothing wrong with it. I'm not criticizing that. But in the process, we did not build our own manufacturing base. People were in a hurry to set up operation so they can begin to make money. So you bought products from Ericsson, Siemens, Alcatel, Nokia, Motorola, or whosoever you could make a deal with. Not just the product deal, but also financing deal. You got their product, you installed it, set up local towers, got government talent, and you are generating revenue. In the process, you didn't build the base that Chinese built. Chinese said, we will build telecom with our own product. Maybe we can begin with some product coming from Motorola's or others, but we will build our own companies. And that's how Huawei's and others came about. China started producing American cell phones because they had set up huge manufacturing facility, like now we are doing with Apple. But the Indian content in Apple phone that we are producing and we brag about is insignificant comparatively. Everything is coming from China. So we didn't build our hardware base. Fortunately, we had good software inroad into the system. So we benefited from software services. So that's what happened during mobile revolution. Here we are with 1.5 billion or 2 billion phones, but we produce very little. That's going to be a challenge.
What was the major reason behind the private sector shying away from investing in the manufacturing?
Because it was risky, it was time consuming. So they focused on quick bucks. Get somebody's product, install it, and start making money. Why spend time in setting up local production? Why set up time in doing local research? No one does any research. None of the telecom guys in India do any research of our own. Fortunately, we still have CDOT, CDAC. These are the organizations set up during mid-80s. And we have huge human capacity there. Though their products don't find inroad into manufacturing because user is not convinced. There is talent, they have good products, but user is more interested in importing. So you don't set up the production base.
And what made the Chinese do that?
Chinese rules and regulations are such that they encourage only local production. They do not allow foreign products to come in. I mean, look at the other angle. Why couldn't India come up with even one good software product for social networks? Chinese have their own. Chinese have TikTok, Chinese have Alibaba, Chinese have, you name it.
WeChat.
Everything. Okay, because they decided that we will develop our own product and not allow others to come in blindly. They can come in the beginning. We will learn from them. And that's how Chinese sort of mastered production. Today, no one in US or even in EU has the kind of production base that China has. All production has moved to China. This year, Chinese surplus was $1 trillion. 1 trillion. Because no one produces anything anymore. Even when you look at electric vehicles, battery is produced in China. You look at drones, everything comes from China, all the parts. So Chinese have spent a lot of time and energy in setting up local production capacity. We haven't done that. Like I said, we don't have any of our own software giants, except 3 or 4 main companies in software services. TCS don't have any main products. Infosys, Wipro, L&T, Mahindras, we don't have any product of our own. We don't even have our own social network. Okay.
You started ITIs as one of the foremost or the front runners, and
Absolutely.
in a sector which probably today we are talking about, but just imagine the vision. Why couldn't ITI do justice to the vision?
First, you have to have government policies designed to encourage local production. Our policies were not designed to encourage local production everywhere. Our rules and regulations are very difficult for private entrepreneur. So you couldn't get private entrepreneur to get into semiconductor, for example. We had a very interesting forward-looking vision on semiconductor in 80s. We set up our own semiconductor complex out of Chandigarh. But unfortunately, we had an accident and the whole plant got burned one night.
Could you come
Completely.
again? The semicon, you're talking about the semicon India?
We had SCL semiconductor complex, fantastic plant. I've been there many times. It was the biggest setback for us. After that, we tried to get technology from America, but America refused to give us then 2 micron technology. We were doing about 7.5 micron. Now it's in nanos and all that. In last 40 years, things have changed. But that was a big setback. We never recovered from that in terms of semiconductor production. In the process, Taiwanese took over and Taiwan became a center of global chip manufacturing. So we lost that boat.
Now we talk about even the BSNL story, India's national communication provider. There has been a very, shady linkage between the spectrum issues, BSNL's downfall. Now we're talking about asset monetization. The finance minister in the current budget has spelled out strong government intent towards disinvestment. BSNL had its own stage or phase of that. Today they have a lean kind of a structure compared to what they had earlier. And BSNL's profits have, been a landmark kind of a statement from the ministry recently, wherein after 20 years they were into the blue. You were heading a committee in 2000, late 2010, 9 or 10, for the first decade of the 21st century. You were heading the committee, rightfully so, along with stalwarts from the industry, Deepak Parekh, SBI chairperson, etc. You recommended a few things to the committee. Could you just quickly take us through recommendations and the outcome in the parliament discussions which ensued thereafter?
See, BSNL suffered because of various sort of issues related to one, robbing the talent. All the best talent from BSNL went to private. They hired key people. That's one. Two, all the private guys milked the urban areas, and BSNL was left to serve rural area. Rural was not profitable. All urban areas cream went to private. Fortunately, we had set up USO fund, Universal Service Obligation Fund. So private entrepreneurs paid penalty for not being in rural areas. That fund became very big, and we used that fund to connect all panchayats to broadband. So our recommendation then was to really revive BSNL by pumping in more money, by expanding BSNL. It was a good plan. It didn't get implemented. I had with me Maya Verma, chairman of State Bank of India, and Deepak Parekh, chairman of HDFC. So we looked at financial angle carefully with those two very capable financial experts. And we put together a plan to revive BSNL. There was also an issue of leadership. We couldn't hire people from outside. We had to take the talent we had within. And the talent within looked from traditional perspective and didn't have the benefit of global outlook that somebody from outside would have. Okay. So BSNL suffered and continues to suffer. But it is a gem of a company. Yeah. It can be revived. It can go public. It can compete with best of the best. It's all there. Yeah.
Now with the AGR dues being waived off for the Vodafones, and in the name of having kind of dispensing with the oligopoly dangers of the Airtel and the Geo times, how do you look at it from a future perspective? Because that is where the future and will BSNL, and what does BSNL kind of companies need to do strategically? How does the government support them further so that we don't go back to
See,
square one?
BSNL is the only company that has presence in all districts because they were a government company. None of the private sectors, maybe things have changed a little bit, but they don't have that kind of presence in rural areas. Okay. So BSNL has had an advantage. They could also get all the government business if government rules and regulations favor them. This is what Chinese did. Okay. Chinese made sure that all the government telecom facilities only remain with the government companies or local companies. No foreign company could come in and provide telecom to Chinese government. Okay. So policies will have to be designed at times to favor public sector. But then private sector won't be very happy. Okay, so that fight goes on. India needs, according to me, 4 or 5 big telecom companies. 2 is not good enough. Okay, it's a huge country. And the problems are very complex. And it is not about just regular telephone service. It's about applications. It's about building massive infrastructure. It's a complex challenge. And it's capital intensive, very capital intensive business. I mean, you look at the data centers required for AI. The world is spending $1 trillion in creating data centers just for AI. And in India, if you really want to use AI, you need not only your own data center, but you also need your own data. We don't have our own data organized. For example, Hindi is the third largest language in the world, but only 5% of internet is in Hindi. Okay. How do you put more Hindi data, literature, music, song, dance, culture, festivals? We need similarly data in Tamil, Gujarati, Bengali. Then only AI would be effective for local problem solving. But if you don't have data organized in local language, AI will not be that effective to solve local problems.
Though this was not in the scheme of things, but since you again brought in AI, and there is this huge euphoria and a lot of talk around AI, the game changer for the last couple of years, especially. We're going to be having a summit very soon in the country, wherein more than 1 lakh delegates are expected, and there are going to be more than 500, symposiums in that conference across the country, organized by the Ministry of Telecom, all centered around AI. How reliable is this AI, and what does it do to educate the masses of a country like India, which is so diverse? It is not a island, it's a yes, it's a peninsula, but you know that 150-60 crore people. AI, for example, just a couple of days back, I was rummaging through just randomly something. I typed the name of a company, of an institution in India, top institution in India. In fact, you can do that. I'll just spell it out. It's NSDC. I typed NSDC, said who is the MD CEO, and the name came out fine. Though it is a litigation is different issue, but the name came out fine. But the photograph displayed was that of somebody who was, previously in that role. He was not even immediate past. He was, somebody prior to that. So now, since I knew about it, so what is the reliability of AI? And I mean, this
That's why I'm
is,
saying the
and
starting point for AI is your own data. If your own data is messed up, you can't benefit from AI. What will happen with AI, the way I see it today, is you will get American data, and Indian data is basically in America and China. India don't have data of our own. All our shopping data is with Chinese. All our other data, including health probably, is with Americans. Okay. Where is our data? Who owns our data? What about information? I'll give you an example. I have a friend, Carl Malabud, who has been working with me to digitize a lot of Indian books. Many of our great books in Tamil, Malayalam, Bengali, Gujarati are not available in digital format. Okay. Until you do that, AI is not going to be helpful to us. So the biggest challenge, according to me, is not what we are all working on today. Biggest challenge is to organize our own data.
brilliant point, sir. Brilliant point, because I'll share another example. Uh, Part of my forum, we've got a lot of musicians, somebody who are doyens in the Carnatic and the Hindustani classical music, classical or Shastriya Sangeet. I was just rummaging through the data with respect to the genesis of the ragas.
That's the
Hindustani,
kind of data we need.
exactly, and nothing was available.
Absolutely. All our paintings, okay, all our art, okay, all our designs, all our textile, nothing is there. Okay. So what good is your AI if you don't have data?
especially in a country which whose cultural roots are ingrained in in a huge historic kind of a backdrop. With today people realizing the relevance of Tamil, the Tamil culture, the Tamil history, which is brilliantly rich. It is inexplicably
Very
rich,
rich, very rich.
inexplicably rich. I mean, for example, the ragas, the Hindustani ragas,
I
I
know, I
could date,
know.
I could date back to only 100 years back, 150 years back, 1880s or 70s, you know. But the Carnatic ragas,
Indian,
Melakartas, I
Indian,
could date back to 500 years.
Indian recipe, Indian recipe. We don't have database on it. Okay, it may be recent, but what was Indian recipes 700 years ago?
The example of jalebi versus imarti, I was trying to research. Where did jalebi come from and where did imarti come from? Until now, I'm not clear about it.
Good. I think we are on the same wavelength on this. So I am big on first spending money on preparing Indian data, organizing Indian data. Our data is in bad shape. Okay. Because we are not very disciplined people in many ways.
But does India have the capacity to put up data centers because the water resource issues are there?
Of course, you have a challenge. You have water resource, you have energy challenge. Big challenge on energy. Do we have the energy? Okay. So these are big issues. So AI is not about just, developing some applications here and there. Okay. It's a very complex issue.
Yeah, I understand because recently Aratai was on the verge of becoming, being pushed forward, and there was 6 months of huge talk around that. So, indigenous social media app, but somewhere down the line it has got stuck because of the language issues, the feature prowess compared to the foreign peers. Now, I just, I've got 5 more minutes because it's going to be midnight for you, and
No problem.
so 5 more minutes. We'll touch upon two um, lighter issues. Prime ministers with Bajpayee ji also you worked. So how do you rate Rajiv Gandhi and Bajpayee, and then probably the Manmohan Singh
I did
era?
not work directly with Bajpayee, but I had a good chemistry with him. I liked him. He and I interacted. But I did work with Rajiv Gandhi, VP Singh, Narsimha Rao, um, Chandrasekhar, then Devi Gowda, and finally Inder Gujral,
Gujral, Chandrasekhar, yeah.
and then Dr. Manmohan Singh.
But probably one of the setback eras was during the VP Singh time.
That's okay. That was part of the game. During VP Singh time, they all attacked me, especially Mr. Unni
Unikrishnan.
Krishnan. Yeah, but that's okay. You know, that's typical in India. Okay. Revenge. Uh, Look at what goes on today. I mean, you know, the revenge is a very common theme of the day. Okay. Attack opposition, malign them, put ED behind them, file court cases against them, harass them. Okay. This is not the culture of the knowledge society. Knowledge society is all about truth, trust, diversity, liberty, freedom, justice. That's what knowledge society is about. It is not
What
about command and control.
What are your suggestions for the startups today?
I think there are a lot of startups and there is too much of hype about startups. Uh, Government also makes big fuss about 2 lakh startups and all that. It doesn't mean anything. Okay. The question is what comes out of it at the end. Okay.
Reinventing the wheel.
What problems are we trying to solve?
I'm,
It's
I'm
all
just
about
trying to
problem solving.
I'm just trying to touch upon something. Recently, I came across something which was developed from the drones perspective by DRDO. We've got DRDO, highly competent,
Yeah, yeah.
brilliant organization, globally one of the best in the world. I
And
know
also you look at CSIR labs and all, they're good. There's some are very good.
Dr. Kalam was there. Seats which were adorned by Dr. Kalam, and
Yeah,
then his successors like Satish Reddy ji and all that. And we know these people, Kamath, we know these people. I
yeah,
mean, they
yeah.
developed something after years of hard work, mm, millions of man days and brilliant brains.
Yeah, yeah,
Why,
yeah.
why do you need to then reinvent the wheel with in the name of startups and have
Yeah,
JVs with
exactly.
public sector companies?
I agree. I agree. You don't need to. You take our CSIR labs, they have so much of knowledge, so much of products available. Take what they have and commercialize it. You know, Chemical Laboratory in India, Leather Institute in India, agricultural research in India. There are a lot of capabilities, but we don't commercialize it. You know, agree.
And finally, a Gujarati from a small village, a small town in Odisha, and a Gujarati from a small village in Vadnagar in Gujarat. Differences and comparisons.
Well, it's a journey. It's a journey. Uh, you meet people, you connect with some, you click with others, and life gives you opportunities. Some you grab, some you can't grab. So I've been fortunate enough to have good friends, good teachers in school. I got good education almost free at MS University in Baroda. I got my master's in physics um, for very little money. Yeah,
Maharaja Sayaji Rao University.
in Baroda.
Yeah, how that too in Baroda. How was that
Yeah,
free?
I mean almost free. In those days tuition was 50 rupees. Okay, and I
That
used to get a scholarship of 60 rupees a month. Okay, because I had first class. So that was it was almost free.
this is a
Then
brilliant.
somebody asked me one day, saying, "Why are you so still interested in India after having spent 60 years in this country?" And my answer was, I'm a product of India. India gave me free education. I didn't have to spend anything on education. Okay. So I think our founding fathers had the vision. Now, one could argue that they spend more resources on higher education than on primary education. But in hindsight, you have to realize that India needed more engineers and scientists to build bridges, dams, steel mills. We didn't have any talent at the time of independence. So we had to build talent. And I think we did a pretty good job of building high level talent. You see in America, how many Indians run big companies? It is Indian talent, came out of Indian universities, you know.
Finally, you are in the US, you know US and India equally well. Where is it heading?
I remain very worried about the world today. I remain very worried because we have lost track of democracy, freedom, justice, truth, trust. We have lost values. Everybody is focused on power and profit and not on people and planet. We need to get back to basics. Okay. Life is not about profit and power. Life is all about living together in harmony, peace, prosperity for all, and not just few. Inequality has increased substantially in the last 20, 30 years, which is a major, major global challenge.
So are we
So I
looking at
remain very
so
worried about the democracy.
are we looking at a resurgence of the left?
I don't look at it as a left or right. I think those terminologies are obsolete. Okay. I look at more as what is good for the humanity. I am first for humanity, then for nationality, race, religion. They all come in the back of humanity. First is humanity. All people are created equal. Everyone deserves respect, dignity, support. But we are hung up today on race and religion and nationality. The technology today is there to connect all of us. But in the process, we are disconnecting ourselves. But that's a long conversation.
Yeah, I think yes. I think we've tried to extract as much as possible from you in the last 1 hour, and we don't want to get into any other aspects of your experiences as of now. So let me thank you for sparing 1 hour. It's almost midnight. It's more past
Yeah, no
midnight
problem.
now.
Thank you. No,
Midnight now
thank you
for
very
you.
much.
And this will we got a lot of things which came out of from you in this particular discussion about the data aspect, especially. We need to build our own data. This is something which the government needs to look at very seriously, so as to ensure, and also the relevance and the role of the public sector, which is so important. Because without that, a country as vast as India
Absolutely.
probably cannot really do justice to any development, technologically or otherwise. Dr. Pitroda,
Yep.
Mr. Pitroda, thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure talking to
Thank you for the
I
opportunity.
look to have more such interactions with you in the years to come.
Sure, be delighted.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Good night.